With a woman who was arrested and jailed for 7 months for a series of crimes that prosecutors now say she did not commit. We're going to talk to her exclusively in a moment. But first, Natalie has her story. Natalie, good morning again.
And good morning, Matt. It is like something really out of a crime novel. Seemona Sumasar was driving along when police pulled her over, cuffed her, and put her behind bars. She was charged with carrying out a series of armed robberies, and police said they had a mountain of evidence against her.
It is unreal. You do not think that things like this happen in real life.
Seemona Sumasar says what happened to her is simply unimaginable. She says it all started 5 years ago when she started dating this man, Jerry Ramratan.
He seemed like a generally good person. Never did I ever think that he was capable of anything like this.
Sumasar says the relationship started to get rocky, but they stayed together. Ramratan began staying at her home. Eventually, she asked him to leave, but says he refused. On March 8, 2009, Sumasar says Ramratan attacked and raped her at home. He was arrested and released on bail pending trial. But soon after, prosecutors say he started plotting an elaborate scheme against her. They say he recruited people to pose as robbery victims, showing them her photo, pictures of her Jeep Cherokee, and her license plate so they could give details to police. Prosecutors say the web of lies was so detailed, it all pointed to Seemona Sumasar as the suspect.
So I'm driving along. Next thing you know, I'm being asked to step out of the car, and handcuffs are placed on me. No explanation whatsoever. Literally, I thought I was going to drop dead right there.
Sumasar insisted she was innocent. She said she had an alibi. Surveillance photos that placed her at a Connecticut casino at the time of one of the robberies.
The only thing that I thought that could have saved me didn't.
She spent 7 months in jail. Then in December of 2010, the break that changed everything. Prosecutors say a police informant called in a tip that pointed to Jerry Ramratan. Investigators say they linked calls from his cell phone to people who said they were robbery victims. Those supposed victims, prosecutors say, eventually confessed to police.
I was so happy, so excited, but at the same time, I couldn't help but to be angry.
Charges against Sumasar were dropped and police arrested Ramratan. He's in jail charged with rape, perjury, conspiracy, and tampering with a witness. He's pleaded not guilty to all charges.
Jerry is not guilty of raping Seemona Sumasar. He is innocent of those charges. While he was fighting the rape charges, his money disappeared from his account. And we believe that we're able to show that Seemona is the one who took those funds.
As for the so-called setup, Ramratan's lawyer says other people were out to get her.
Other people who were involved were looking to have Seemona arrested because they had financial problems with Seemona. They had a beef with her. They were the ones that indicated that they would get her back for what she did to them.
The case is getting national attention. New York Times reporter Dan Bilevsky has followed it from the beginning.
One of the glaring lessons of this is that a reliance only on witness testimony can be very, very dangerous in a criminal case. Witnesses can lie. Witnesses can concoct elaborate stories. Even police can be duped.
And prosecutors say 2 of the people Ramratan allegedly hired to pose as victims confessed to making up the robbery stories. They're serving jail time and they're cooperating with prosecutors. Meanwhile, Jerry Ramratan's trial will begin in October. Matt.
All right, Natalie, thank you very much. Seemona Sumasar is with us now exclusively, along with her attorney, Nick Brustin. Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
Good morning.
In reading the story in the New York Times, when you were living with this guy, Jerry, you had some concerns about him. You were a little bit concerned about his personality. Some of the stories he would tell you didn't quite add up. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I just thought that he just lied a lot. I didn't see any other harm in him, though, you know?
You didn't think he was dangerous. You just thought he was someone who stretched the truth.
Exactly.
After the alleged rape took place and he was released on bail, you must have been terrified.
Well, I was. I couldn't go anywhere alone. I couldn't leave the restaurant late at night. I had to be very careful because soon after he got released, I get visits, friends of his, people that we both know would visit me at my restaurant asking me to drop charges against him.
So there was pressure being applied to you.
Yes.
The day you're arrested, you're driving in your car and you're pulled over and the police stop you and they say, you know you did it, admit it, you did. Did you even know what it was?
No, actually, when they arrested me, they didn't say anything. Nothing was explained at all. They just asked me to step out of the car, and they needed to take me for some questionings. And that was it.
You end up in jail, and you spent quite a long time there, 7 months. You have a daughter, by the way, so you have she was 12 years old or 11 at the time?
She was 12. She's 13 now.
13 now. And so you're separated from your daughter, and as you were sitting there in jail, which had to be an experience that I can't even imagine, you have this very strong suspicion that this former boyfriend is somehow responsible for what you're going through.
Well, I knew from the day I was arrested, because there was no other reason why I would be sitting there. I didn't do anything to be sitting there.
You'd never committed a crime before, and you
No.
weren't the type who would pull off an armed robbery, much less a series of armed robberies.
Exactly.
So when you tried to talk to the police and say, look, I've been framed, first of all, they hear that every single day from
Exactly.
everyone in jail. What was the reaction?
I think they just thought I was just trying to blame it on him, that I really did it, and I was just being a drama queen. That's just the reaction I got, because it was totally ignored. They looked at me like I was crazy.
So there was no presumption of innocence, in your opinion, in your case?
No.
Nick, I'm trying to kind of figure out how this could have happened. There was evidence. There was evidence that showed that she was actually somewhere else during the time one of the robberies occurred. There was that kind of grainy surveillance video that showed her at a casino. Why was this not enough to convince the police this was wrong?
I mean, there was much more than that. I mean, this was no brilliant plan. This was a man who was being prosecuted for raping her, who had a history of impersonating police officers, which they knew about. And from the first day, Seemona was telling them, this guy did this. And we see this all the time in cases where people are wrongfully convicted. Police have tunnel vision. Prosecutors have tunnel vision. Once they lock on, it's very tough to get them off it. If they had looked at all, they would have seen this couldn't be true.
So, Seemona, now you're the one who is sitting out of jail and free. He is the one who is sitting behind bars awaiting trial on a slew of charges. Are you confident he'll now be convicted?
I hope so.
But you don't have much faith in the justice system anymore, do you?
Well, how could I? I've been sitting in jail for 7 months, and I've been telling them who was behind it from day one. No one listened.
7 months away from her daughter, a loss of a job. I think your house had to go into foreclosure.
Yes.
Is that correct? How does she get, we always say, where do you go to get your reputation back? That, and where does she go to get her life back?
Well, it's going to be very difficult. We're planning on filing civil rights claims probably in the fall. We're looking at the case very carefully now, and we're going to do our very best to help her get her life back together.
Seemona Sumasar and Nick Brustin. Guys, thank you both very much. Seemona, thanks for sharing your story. I appreciate it.